Have your Facebook and Instagram advertising campaigns been going really badly since iOS 14 was released a few months ago? Chances are you're making one of the 12 most common mistakes that I see people make inside their Facebook ads account that's negatively impacting on their Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns. Hi, my name is Rod Bland. I'm the owner of Rod Bland Agency, and we specialize in Facebook and Instagram marketing and email marketing for e-commerce stores. I founded my own e-commerce store back in 2003. I sold to my competitor in 2019. And in today's video, I'm going to take you through the 12 most common mistakes that I see people make inside their Facebook ads account that's negatively impacting on their Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns. So mistake number one is that the domain for your website isn't verified inside the Facebook Business Manager. So if your website is widgets.com.au, then you've got to make sure that you go into the account security inside your Business Manager and make sure that the domain name is verified. Mistake number two is that you don't have your web events configured. So since the release of iOS 14, around about then, Facebook has required that you have your various conversion events configured, or what's known as web events, and that you specify the order that you want those events to be ranked in terms of their priority. Now you do that inside the Events Manager inside Facebook, and I've noticed that a lot of accounts don't have this configured, and what that means is that Facebook isn't collecting any data based on your purchase or adds to cart or any of those other important conversion events to use to optimize your campaigns, so your ads aren't being optimized at all. Mistake number three is that you're running ads to audiences that are too small. Now there was a time when you could run ads to retargeting audiences that were quite small, say 10,000 or 50,000 people, but what I found is that nowadays you need to give the Facebook algorithm a lot more room to breathe, so to speak. So with that in mind, I recommend that you try running your ads to audiences that are at least 250,000 people in size and as much as 500,000 people. Now, since the advent of iOS 14.5, there's a lot less data that Facebook can collect from people that are using iOS devices. So it makes sense that we need to expand the size of the audiences that we used to use before so that Facebook has more data to work with, more people to choose from. Mistake number four is that there's too many ad sets for the budget, or the campaign is generally too complicated. I've seen campaigns where there is specific ad sets for ads to cart 1 to 3 days, ads to cart 3 to 7 days, website visitors 7 days, website visitors 14, 21, 30, etc. You don't need to run your campaign with so much complication in it. Now, there might have been a time, and there's plenty of people that will teach that you need to do things that way so that you can get the best results. And I can tell you that you can get just as good results with a much simpler campaign structure, and you can have your retargeting and your cold traffic audiences all inside the one campaign and still get outstanding results without having to split things across 20 or 30 different ad sets per campaign. Mistake number five is configuring your campaign for the wrong conversion objective or for the wrong conversion event at the ad set level. So I'll take you onto the computer just so I can show you what I mean. When you're setting up your Facebook campaign, you have a choice of the campaign objective. So it's really important that you use a campaign objective that is a match for the outcome that you're trying to achieve. So if we take conversions, for example, for this objective, Facebook is going to show you ads to people most likely to take an action such as making a purchase or adding payment info. So that's the one that you want to choose for an e-commerce store. And if we have a look at traffic, for example, Facebook's going to show that to people who are just going to click on the ad. So if there's someone who is likely to click on the ad so they can go to a website, they'll show it to those people that aren't necessarily going to be people who are going to want to buy, which is why if you run a campaign with traffic as the campaign objective, you generally do get a lot of traffic, but you generally get very few sales as a result. So let's take you through to the ad set level so I can show you what we mean there. So at the ad set level, so this is the campaign level, this is the ad set level, and at the top of the ad set, we've got our conversion event location. Now for an e-commerce store, that's always going to be on the website. You need to make sure that you've got your pixel selected, and then you just need to choose the conversion event that you want the ad set to be optimized for. So if you've got an e-commerce store, in most cases that is going to be purchased. Now if we scroll down to the bottom of the page, you've also got the optimization and delivery. So some people go for optimizing for something other than conversions, and that's a mistake. So it's really important that you optimize for conversions here, which is the default, and that way Facebook will show the ad to people who are likely to take that action, which is to make a purchase. Mistake number six is that you are not taking advantage of the Facebook Conversions API and you're relying solely on the pixel. The reason for that is because the Facebook pixel misses out on a lot of vital information related to purchases and other activity that people are doing on your store. So for example, if someone is running an ad blocker, then it's very likely that the pixel code is not going to be loaded, so you're not going to know what website pages that person has visited, what they've added to their cart, what they've purchased, and that information isn't going to flow back to Facebook. So if you use the Conversions API as an adjunct to the information that the Facebook pixel provides, then you'll get a lot more information coming through from your website through to Facebook that it can use to optimize your ads. So I'll just show an example of an ad account where the Conversions API is being used and an ad account where the Conversions API isn't being used. So I'm inside an example client account here, and I can't show you all the details because it's confidential, but the main thing is inside the events manager here, we can see that we've got events that are coming from via the browser and the server. So what that means is that the Facebook pixel is sending information back, but also the server itself is sending information back via the Conversions API. Now, fixing this depends on your e-commerce platform. If you're on something like Shopify, then it does have a certain amount of integration built into the backend that allows you to take advantage of the Facebook Conversions API. So you just need to go into the back end of your Shopify store and turn on the advanced section of the Facebook integration to turn that on. Currently, as I was making this video, it only helps track conversions, but I'm sure that they'll add in other events like content views or adds to cart or a started checkout, things like that. If you're running on WooCommerce, which is the e-commerce version of WordPress, then there are a number of different plugins that you can use that will take advantage of the Conversions API. So I'm going to show you in a couple of example client accounts how your Facebook Events Manager will look if you are using the Conversions API and how it will look if you are not using the Conversions API at all. So what you see here on the screen is how things should look if you've got the Conversions API correctly integrated. And I'm going to show you how an account looks that doesn't use the Conversions API at all. So this is how the Events Manager will look where you've got only information coming via the browser or the Facebook pixel only. You can see there's no server events there at all. Okay, so we're halfway there. So let's just recap. We've got mistake number 1 is the domain isn't verified in the Facebook Business Manager. Mistake number 2 is that the web events aren't configured. Mistake number 3 is that you're using audiences that are too small. Mistake number 4 is that there's too many ad sets for the budget or the campaign structure is far too complicated. Mistake number 5 is that your campaign is optimized for the wrong conversion objective or it's optimized for the wrong conversion event at the ad set level. And mistake number 6 is that you're not using the Facebook Conversions API to send data from your e-commerce store back to Facebook that doesn't rely on the Facebook pixel. Mistake number 7 is related to retargeting audiences. And there's a lot of training that will say that you should use retargeting audiences from your website. Let's say your website visitors 180 days. That's one of the best retargeting audiences to use. And there was a time where that was true. But the problem is, since the advent of iOS 14, iOS 14.5, a lot less data is being collected from people that are visiting your website and being sent back to Facebook. Now, the Conversions API does help with that. So if you can integrate the Conversions API into your store to send data to Facebook, that's useful. The other thing you can do is add additional audiences to your website visitors' audiences for your retargeting. So for example, if you are using some sort of ESP, email service provider like MailChimp or Klaviyo or one of those, will then synchronize your mailing list back to Facebook. And the great thing about that is that mailing list will include everyone who's ever purchased from you. So it can be a large audience that grows larger over time. Whereas if you're using your website visitors audience, the furthest back that you can go is 180 days. So you're only going to get visitors from that last 180 days. And anyone that's been there from before then will gradually drop off. And the other good thing about your mailing list audience, especially if it consists mostly of customers, that it is going to consist of people who have actually purchased rather than people who have just visited your website. Mistake number 8 is inconsistency. And I mean a few things by that. So firstly, it's making changes to your ads too often. So my advice is set the ads up and then let them run for a week, see what sort of data you get, and then adjust and then let them run for another week and change your ads only on that particular day of the week. And the other reason for not chopping and changing your ads very often is that each time you change an ad in some way, whether you change the creative, the copy, it resets the learning phase and it also resets all of your social proof that's on your ad. Mistake number 9 is assuming that video ads work best. Now there's plenty of training and other information out there that will say always use video ads because they're the best kinds of ads to run. And sometimes that's true, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't test the other ad formats. So when you are testing an ad, then sure, if you've got a video ad, test that, but also test an image ad. Also test a carousel ad and also test a slideshow as well, so that you can see which of those different ad formats might perform the best. So I'll give you an example in a client account. Now I can't show everything in this account, but I'll just show how across different campaigns, how different ad formats sometimes outperform others and why it's worth testing. So here's one example. We've got 3 different ad types running in this particular ad set, and we've got a video and we've got a carousel. And as you can see, the video, it's had the lion's share of the spend and its cost per purchase is around $12.58. But the carousel is returning a $11.31 cost per purchase. So am I ready to say, okay, the carousel is definitely the best performing ad? Well, I think I'm going to let that run for a bit longer, but it just goes to show that the video is definitely not the best performing ad in that particular instance. Now I'll show you another example as well. So in this example, we're running an image ad, which is currently the only ad that's running. And the reason for that is because over the maximum period of time, we're running at 18 cents per purchase from the image ad. And you can see from there was another image that we tested, didn't do so well. There was a video, it was pretty good. Cost of purchase of $23, but still getting trumped by the image. So that was the one that we've narrowed the budget down to. Mistake number 10 is not checking your customer experience scores. So what are customer experience scores? Well, you get those from within your ads manager. I'm going to show you where they are. You just go up to the hamburger icon and you go to account quality. Now this is a client ad account, and as you can see, this is the feedback score here. So Facebook regularly polls users and asks them for feedback about what their experience was like purchasing from a particular advertiser. So if you spend a reasonable amount with your ads, you are going to have people that are going to be surveyed and they're going to be providing feedback back to Facebook about their experience with shopping from your store. So this particular client, 5 out of 5, excellent. They don't really have anything they need to do because they're already getting the best possible score that they could possibly get. But I'll show you an example from another ad account. So here's another ad account where their feedback score is still considered to be good, but it's definitely worth having a look at why it's so low. So 3.1 out of 5. You can see here you can click on the link that says see feedback score details, and it gives you a little more information. So 3 to 5 is good. So this particular ad account is almost below good. 2 to 3 means it's fair. That means that a lot of the time the product or something about the particular experience that customer is having is not up to par. And then anything from 1 to 2 is going to be poor. And then below 1, well, that's where Facebook is just going to turn your ads off and you're not going to be able to advertise at all. So if you do have a feedback score which is somewhat below 5, I'd say if it's below 4, it's definitely worth having a look at. If it's below 3, then you've definitely got something that you need to work on. Mistake number 11 is ignoring email marketing. So if you are not getting at least 15 to 20% of your revenue from email marketing, and I don't mean sending out campaigns, although you can do that, but I mean from automated flows, such that you might be able to set up in systems like Klaviyo, then you are definitely leaving money behind on the table. If you have a good set of flows set up that will automatically email your customers, for example, when they abandon their shopping cart, when they first sign up with your newsletter, when they become a customer for the first time or for the second time, whether they're someone who has visited one of your catalog pages and then left your site and you've captured their email address through a pop-up, all those things should contribute to adding around about 15 to 20% to your overall revenue. So if you've ignored email marketing up to this point thinking, oh, we don't need to do that, then you have to ask yourself, well, do you want to miss out on 15 to 20% of your revenue? And if you don't, which I'm assuming that's the case, then you need to get busy working on a project to set up all of your automated email marketing flows. Mistake number 12 is related to ad account payments. I did touch on this a little earlier, but I just want to go into a bit more detail. This matters a lot more if you are a new advertiser or if you have just started using a new credit card with your ad account. So when you first load your credit card or your debit card to your ad account, you want to prime it first. So what I usually do is I run a small likes campaign for the Facebook business page so that a couple of payments go through on the card. Now what that does is, number one, it means that your bank is going to have to approve the payment. So sometimes a bank will just automatically go, no, we're not going to approve a payment to Facebook because we haven't seen that particular vendor before. So that'll allow you to work that out with your bank. So if they do reject it, you can contact your bank and say, no, this is all good. Please let those go through in future. And then they'll add a note to your account or whatever they need to do so that they can let those payments go through in future. So just to recap, initially when you use a new card or you're just running ads for the first time, run a small likes campaign so that a couple of payments go through. They'll only be for $20 or $30. That will give Facebook a chance to bill your card. That'll give your bank a chance to work out who that vendor is and make sure that their payments are being approved. And then once you are running your ad campaigns, make sure that the payments go through. Make sure the card's paid on time. Make sure that you've got sufficient limit on the card so you don't suddenly run into an issue with the limit running out. Just make sure that there is no issue with card payments, because if there is, then what this says to Facebook is that you can't be trusted to pay your bills. So that's the final 6 mistakes that I commonly see in ad accounts, which might be why your Facebook ads aren't working as well as they could be. Just to recap on those final 6, your retargeting audiences are too small and only include your website visitors and may need to be expanded over more days or additional audiences added in, such as your mailing list. There's inconsistency with your ads where they're being changed too often and it's causing the learning phase to be reset. Number 9 is assuming that video ads are always the best performing ads, so they're the only ones that you should run. Number 10 is not being aware of what your customer experience scores are, and if they are low, doing something about them to improve them. Number 11 is ignoring email marketing, and in particular, ignoring setting up a set of automated email marketing flows. And last but not least, number 12 is problems with your card payments. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you found this content useful. That's 12 mistakes that I see a lot of different e-commerce store owners making with their Facebook advertising accounts. That can be the reason why their ads aren't working very well. Now, obviously there's a whole lot more to running a great Facebook and Instagram campaign than fixing these 12 mistakes, although that will definitely help you. And if you are someone who is looking to get better performance from your Facebook ads, or you're thinking about running ads for the first time and you need help with that, then we'd like to have a chat with you. The only condition is that your budget is at least $100 per day and you are making sales of at least $10,000 per month. And if you'd like to have a chat with somebody about how we might be able to help you, there will be a link in the description below this video where you can book in a time and have a chat with someone. Generally goes for about 20 to 30 minutes. This isn't meant to be an extensive review of your business, but it is to give us an idea of what you're doing at the moment in your business, what you're doing in your Facebook ads account at the moment if you are running Facebook ads, and just to see whether we might be a good fit for each other, and then we can talk about how we can help, what the prices are, all that sort of thing. So thanks again for watching this video, and bye for now.